We ready? Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to City Hall. Let me start off by saying thank you certainly to the President and Majority Leader of the New York State Senate, Andrew Stu Cousins, our Senator, also to council members that are here, Tasha Diaz, John Rubo, Sinead Williams, who is being represented by Deanna, Sarah Brody, who is representing the Yonkers, South Yonkers bid. It's good to have her here. Welcome. You know, as mayor for nearly 9 years now, I can recall a number of days in which I paused and thought to myself just how proud I was to be mayor of this wonderful city. September 25th, 2020 was one of those days. Late that afternoon, I was notified that an incident had taken place in broad daylight, right down in Getty Square, one of the most trafficked intersections in our city. You go down there at that time of the day, you will find cars, bus stop, children on bikes, mothers with baby carriages, people shopping. You will find literally thousands of people concentrated in a small section of our city. And I was told that law enforcement officers attempted to stop Darren Smith's car, but the suspect fled on foot. He had a handgun, and he went right into the heart of Getty Square. As officers, including an FBI officer, attempted to apprehend Smith, 5 shots rang out. 5 shots, just right into Getty Square, right into the crowd. 5 shots that could have injured, could have killed mothers and children, could have killed store owners, bus drivers. 5 shots that could have killed one of our officers. Instead, I learned that Smith was prevented from firing into a busy intersection because of the amazing instinct and the restraint of our Yonkers police officers, as well as a Good Samaritan named Zacharias Green. Now, by the way, last time we spoke to him, he was on 168th Street. He's on his way up, and he doesn't live in Yonkers, so maybe he's just having a little tough time getting here. It's not hard to get here, but he is on his way. So that afternoon, Mr. Green happened to be in Getty Square working as a census taker, and he saw the police activity, quickly jumped into action and assisted the officers in wrestling the suspect to the ground, preventing injuries to the officers and, of course, to the civilians there as well. Brave, courageous, selfless. These are just some of the words that describe the men who faced danger that day, made a split-second decision, and saved lives. I am beyond proud of the work of the Yonkers Police Department, and I also want to say thank you to Mr. Green. I know when he gets here, we'll give him the proper thank you. So it could have ended in tragedy. And when you look at what happened that day, and you look at how it evolved and how it ended, it could have been a justified shooting that could have ended in the death of maybe the perpetrator as well, not just those who were there. But it didn't happen that way. So I'd like to ask, before I ask our police commissioner to come up here and say a few words, I'd like to ask our Senate Majority Leader and our state senator, Andrew Stu Cousins, to come and say a few words. Senator.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much, Mayor Spano, and just so happy to be here also to commend, obviously Mr. Green when he gets here, but the extraordinary work of our police officers. I was in the Getty Square just a few days. It was a national voter registration day on the 22nd, and my whole team was there because that is a place where you go. It is a hub of our city, and as the mayor described, this is where you get to speak to the people and to interact. So to find that 3 days later there was a shooting in broad daylight that resulted in the disarming of the suspect, the arrest of the suspect, and the great police work, I called the commissioner and I told him, whatever you do, I want to be there. There's a lot of conversation, as we know, about policing, and we know that we could be standing here saying a lot of different things. We could be standing here talking about a tragedy that unfolded that could bring national attention, and obviously the continued conversation, which is not comfortable. And that's why I want to be here today, because this is the kind of conversation that is worthy of people understanding that you have a well-trained and obviously it's difficult, it's a very difficult job, but the results can also be as they were here in Yonkers. So I'm happy to stand here on a good day with the police chief, with these wonderful officers, the mayor, city council, and all of us to say that we commend great police work, and we're very, very proud of what happened here in Yonkers. So thank you, Mayor.
We were losing the podium.
I was just going up.
Good. Thank you.
Just a quick note for those of you who don't know this, but the Justice Department came into Yonkers, investigated the city on a number of issues. In 2011, 2012, we entered into a 5-year discussion about policing with the Justice Department. Lots of changes were made. Lots of changes were made. You know, we banned chokeholds years ago, and over 100 different reforms were made to this department. Think about that. And the men and women in this department have taken a hand-in-glove approach. They've taken a very proactive approach where they work with the community. We've done some things, and I would steal the commissioner's thunder here, but you know, we've done some things some people might find a little cutesy, right? But police, pizza with the police, coffee with a cop, stop and shake, you know, the Police Explorer program. We've done, we have football teams that are, one is dedicated to the police department, the other is dedicated to the fire department. All of this is designed to get our officers into to the lives of the people that they were sworn to serve and protect, so that it would provide for that understanding to take place. Because that understanding that takes place, we all know, is a two-way street. And so in those years, and when the Justice Department left and said Yonkers, and said to the Yonkers Police Department, we like what you've done here. When you think about that, crime rate was reduced almost 50% in that time, and complaints against our officers were down 80%. That's the type of work that has taken place. When you hear about everything that's happening across the nation, know that Yonkers has been that far ahead. And I think that what happened in Getty Square illustrates that point. So with that, I'd like to ask our police commissioner to come up, say a few words. Commissioner Jama.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few thoughts listening to the senator and listening to the mayor. First thing, touching on what the senator said about how this incident could have been an entirely different scenario. It could have been extremely catastrophic in so many different ways. I mean, the fact that, you know, the recklessness of the person firing the shots. But something I thought about when she mentioned it was how it would have been a national discussion. And yet the amazing work that we didn't see CNN, we didn't see MSNBC, we didn't see Fox News. But I can assure you, all over the country, these incidents are happening. And I couldn't be prouder of my officers. As far as what the mayor said with respect to the DOJ, I can tell you when the DOJ came to Yonkers in probably 2007, and this has been a long road going, you know, I struggled with it. At the time I was a union president, And I struggled with it, not understanding really, like I thought we were okay and everything else, but I think even when Tom Brady, as much as me being a New York Giant fan, lifelong, Tom Brady probably is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. He still has a quarterback coach. So with the DOJ coming in and taking a look at us from an outside position, and then allowing us to do self-reflection, make those 100 changes, continuing to get better, every day. This is the result of that. The officers that you see behind us are the result of all those changes. The officers you see behind us are more professional than they've ever been, more well-trained than they've ever been. And that all is a credit to the mayor, because the mayor understands the importance of police and community. He understands the importance of community outreach. And like I said, this incident is a microcosm of what's going on in the Yonkers Police now. Great work, restraint, reasonableness, all these different things bundled together, and this is the result of all of that, and I couldn't be prouder of the officers. I think, when I reflect about where we are and where we were many years ago, I want to say we're getting better, and we're getting better every day. We have the support of the mayor, we have the support of our great council, we have the support of the senator, and this is an ongoing thing. You never rest on your laurels and say, we've done everything we're supposed to do and now we're good. We will continue to work hard to be better and better. But today is the Officers' Day. As I said, I couldn't be prouder. And you see this stuff all the time, so thank you very much.
Thank you. I apologize. I'm trying to put this over my face. I figure it's kind of like, so I can find this. But let me ask if one of the council members want to come up and at least speak on behalf of the council. Tasha? You've been picked. Tasha Diaz, Councilwoman from the 3rd District.
It's an honor for me to stand here today as a lifelong Yonkers resident and also with the Yonkers Police Department. I've worked in unison with the police department from day one, way before I was elected. And I'm here to stand in solidarity and say I commend you on the gracious work that you have done. Like stated before, it could have been a tragedy. Things could have been different, but they weren't. They took the road that they needed to take to prove that Yonkers is on the road to making the changes that were implemented. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you to the Yonkers Police Department. Thank you to Mayor Spano. Thank you to Andrea Stewart-Cousins, our state majority leader. And on behalf of the council, this is just the beginning. We will continue to strive for great things for Yonkers.
So I'd like to ask some of the officers to come up here. I'd like to start though with the officers who actually took down the suspect. Now, anybody know how to pronounce Paul's last name?
Paul Samoyende.
Paul Samoyende. Let's come on then, Paul. Brian Menton. James Menton. And of course, we were going to honor Zacharias Green, who's not here, but will be up here, we hope, shortly. When you see the video and know that you have these officers plus the names of other officers, who I could pronounce, but who are here with us today. These are the guys who did what they needed to do. They were the ones that if we speak to them, will say in that moment, though I can't imagine how you could have any real clarity at that moment, can say, I looked up and I saw in the reflection, I saw mothers with carriages and I saw kids on bikes, and I said, I can't discharge my weapon. I have to figure out a way to stop this from happening. That's a great trained police department. Those are great trained officers. At times people are called to be heroes. I think this is one of those moments. So I'd like to just say to the officers that are here today, the officers that are standing with me, the officers that are behind me, the support team that did everything they could to make this a successful event. We have a proclamation from me on behalf of myself, on behalf of the members of the City Council. I know that our Majority Leader has a proclamation as well, where we are recognizing you, not just here in Yonkers, but all across New York State, for a job well done. Thank you. Thank you for making a difference, and thank you for showing the rest of the world how it's done. And that's what we do here in Yonkers. Let's continue this progress. Let's continue to be successful, and we will do so with the greatest department in the entire world. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, any questions?
Hi, I'm Andrea Original too. Can we talk to the officers about,
Someone's-
usually when somebody has a gun, that is, legal force is justified. So can you take us through your thought process? Anyone?
The commissioner just said to me it's still an open case,
Oh, it's
so
still-
they're a little, we probably shouldn't have them speak.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can you talk about the DOJ process just a little bit more? Was there something that was a catalyst to the DOJ?
Yeah, when I guess sometime in 2007, the Department of Justice came into Yonkers. They investigated the city for two things. One was systemic racism, two was aggressiveness. Then there was a change of mayors, and I became mayor, and working with the Department of Justice, after about 5 years or so, they had concluded their investigation and had determined that they did not find any systemic racism, though they thought the department was somewhat aggressive, and they felt that the changes that we had made, to this department, working in concert with the Department of Justice, were enough that they did not have to give us, because in the very beginning, they talked about a court monitor, they talked about a consent decree, and all that disappeared. Why? Because the men and women in this department did what they had to do to change the way we operate. And I couldn't be more proud of them, because we all know that it could be a mayor, it could be the commissioner, it could be the brass. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the men and women in blue to make those changes, to be part of that reform. There is, if you talk to the people, and I would suspect that I wouldn't be wrong, if you go talk to the people of Yonkers in this community, that you will find wide support of our police officers and the job they do, and they trust our police officers. And that's what it's all about. That's what it needs to be. This department is a department that should really be copied, and people should look at Yonkers as really a true leader. Look at this department, I should say, as a true leader in how policing should be done in this country. And that's why I'm so glad we're here today.
Mayor, has any other municipality reached out to the police department or your administration to find out what's the secret to have a good relationship between community and police?
Well, I let the commissioner speak for himself, but I will tell you that very often I go to the Conference of Mayors, I go to the National Conference of Mayors or the State Conference of Mayors, and it is always one of the first questions that I will get from other mayors. How do we get your crime rate? How is it that you guys get things done? I mean, they hear so many wonderful things that are happening. Listen, we're not perfect, we know that, but we know that we are certainly the best that policing has to offer in this country, and we know that departments are following our lead, and that's good. We want to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.